throughout this dialogue that we've had, we've, sort of sung the praises of the miniaturists in terms of the energy, in terms of the acceptability, in terms of even marketability. But, while some may call this an epoch, others may call it an epidemic. Okay? Everyone and their aunt is a miniaturist. Everyone wants to have a solo show immediately after graduating from NCA or wherever. And, there is a dull homogeneity in the kind of new work that's taking place because of the miniaturist appeal. And its critics have it that a lot of this appeal is resident in the kind of prices that they are commanding. And that, they've really, sort of upped the ante for their own work by, sort of having this kind of a, sort of sell your soul to a Western audience and appeal to their tastes while distancing yourself from your own breeding ground. Okay, I have seen a dichotomy in the work of a flash-in-the-pan miniaturist, Usman Saeed, who had a fantastic showing in London and then came home to have this gibberish of a show, which was a non-starter, and there was so much hype and song and dance about it, and when we went and saw the work, it was insulting. Do you have anything to say on that?
I chose miniature painting after seeing Usman's work. That was the first miniature show, I suppose, the first I saw, and that really attracted me. His work was so skillful, so masterly qualities in it, that it attracted me to learn that technique.
But you see, if there's one lesson that the miniaturists have taught, it's that art begins where skill ends. Because it's not only on the basis of skill that you guys have catapulted to where you have. It's this evolution, it's this intellectual ferment, it's this continuous thought process that has been brought to bear on your work.
At times you also need to give an artist time to grow. Maybe now if the gallery is willing to give him a show, that's not something that he can take on his conscience,
I love the way you guys just sort of put the monkey on someone else's shoulder.
No,
if the gallery is willing to do that,
if
the buyer is willing to pay these prices.
You have to understand that it's not like जो कहते हैं ना ताली दोनों हाथ से बजती है. There is a relationship with the gallery and the artist. Artist on its own, आप घर में बैठ के जो बनाना चाहो बना लो. It doesn't really make a difference. Gallery takes it to another level. Now, it's up to the gallery what their agenda is.
And if that's a London address, it takes it to yet another level.
Firstly, let me just sort of get to Usman Saeed. I think one of the privileges that you must allow, that we must allow our artists, is to have failures. Because if you are not allowed to fail, you will never do something which is interesting, which is innovative, and if we just say we condemn failure, then
it's not about condemning failure, Hamad. I'm talking of two back-to-back exhibitions.
Sure,
the Citizens Foundation.
A very different work.
Yes, but a very different work, sure, but very different quality of work as well. Here you are promoting this whole set as, sort of the most seminal artist to come out of Pakistan. And yet you are saying, here's this guy who's just 31. And Hamad, doesn't that chronology strike you when you're pricing these paintings at foreign shows?
Export quality thing, I suppose.
It's an export quality.
It is a factor, and I don't think you should hold different standards for the art world than you would for any other kind of work. Up till, say, a few years ago, Pakistan's biggest export was bankers. So were you making programs saying, why are bankers earning so much when they go abroad, and why are they asking for 9 lakh rupees a month?
It's not that, Hamad. It's that the miniaturist painting has now become a fast-moving consumer good.
That's also something which has actually given miniature the platform that it has. Economics do play a factor.
Of course, the popular contention, at least in some circles of Pakistan, is that it's only the economics that are giving the value.
But when you see the work, when you see the quality, when you see the content of the work, would you say that? Would you agree on it?
No, that is true. You are saying...
Hasnat's the honest one among all of you, by the way. Please make a note of that.
I never had a solo show up till 2007. That was my first solo show with the Chokandi. Before that, I had gotten like 6,000 pounds for my work abroad, and over here, if I'm asking for, let's say, 1 lakh, people are going like crazy here.
So what did you say? I am the one who showed abroad and sold for 10,000 pounds?
That is one thing to say, but I won't say that to them because I know what is here and what happens here and what is the market here. And if people would know my work, because nobody knows my work here, because mostly I have shown abroad.
Why is that, Hasnath?
There aren't as many institutions, and then there is also this politics of the art market or mafia, you would say. You can say that too. That you have to know certain people to be in the mainstream. There is this everywhere it happens.
Yet it can, in the same vein, it can be argued that you've got to know Imran Qureshi to be anywhere on the miniaturist radar.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, he's a seminal teacher. If you're talking about a brotherhood or a mafia, you know, the miniaturists have spawned their own mafia. Can you deny that?
No, I won't deny that because there is that kind of stuff happening too.
So, you know, Hamad, one does get this sense of, you know, premature canonization. You know, Imran Sahab, you know, and you know, Imran Sahab is this big ustad, you know, sort of right out of a Mughal karkhana.
You speak of canonization, but where is the canon of Pakistan? You know, the canon of Pakistani art.
There may not be a canon of Pakistani art, Hamad, but there's clearly a canon of the miniaturists.
There is.
And you're one of those people who are cobbling together that canon.
Sure enough. And that's coming out of engagement. And art history will be written, revised, and, you know, rejected, and then rewritten.
Okay.
And I think this is a, you know, you have to have a certain trajectory. And we can sit back and look at Michelangelo and talk about, you know, what was his best period in that time or not. We don't yet have the luxury to do that with Imran's art product till now. We may, after 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and we may sort of notch him even up or, you know, bring him down, depending on what else has happened in the world. But right now, I mean, you can't deny the vibrancy and the sheer brilliance of his own practice or of the practice that is coming out of the movement. Compare it sort of across cultures, and you can see things like this happening with the YBAs around Goldsmiths College and around, you know, the class of Damien Hirst, Rachel Bytree, Tracy Amin, all these people who came out of a particular moment in time. I think the NCA in the 90s was also such a moment in time where some great artists under the tutelage of some great teachers have just come together and produced something. Now, how that develops, I think it's all for us to see.
And I think it's not only the sort of the rebirth of the miniature. It's actually the renaissance of art epoch in Pakistan. I think,
absolutely,
you know, and I think that has to be, you know, begrudgingly given to the miniaturists. And yet, you know, I mean, sort of, there is a lot of, you know, sort of wallop, you know, sort of masquerading as substance out here. And we need to recognize that. So, you know, it's, I mean, in that grand sweep, there are lots of turkeys, you know, sort of masquerading as peacocks.